it is always your lack of self-belief. And what if that were the only difficulty that you experienced in your life was your lack of self-belief? And I will tell you that it is. That is the only challenge that you might have. Now, that will come about for many different reasons. You may not have found what you're meant to do in your life in this world. And so that might give you this sense that you don't believe in who you are, or you don't believe in your worth or value, or something like that. It could be that. Or you might have reached a different place in your life where you're trying to go to this next level of who you want to become, and you can't believe it yet. And you keep thinking you're an imposter or something like that. Or you've just been through so many things in your life that you just can't believe in yourself because you think that you have just screwed up everything and nothing's going to happen for you. None of those things are correct. You are in a continual state of evolving. So, whatever you are in your life, it's still happening. So, you haven't done it yet. I am 73 years old, and I am now taking the next part of my self-belief, which is why I'm talking about it today. We all come into the world to do something unique, something different, and you're alive now to actually do that. This time in our world is a little different, though, as well. So that could be very confusing to you as also. And let me tell you a story. There's an alignment that always happens in our lives and also in the universe. We don't always understand it. We may look at the world now and think everything is going really nuts. And how is this happening? Why are we living through it? And then we understand that's a cycle that we are going through in our world and in our civilization. They happen all the time. Last night, I happened to watch a series. It's a documentary series that was done several years ago. Tom Hanks was one of the producers on this, and it's called 1968, The Year That Changed America. And it was really fascinating to watch it because, see, I was there. In 1968 is when I graduated from high school. And it was the most difficult year of my life. And it set up everything for me to be here now. And I understand that because when you watch it, you will see many things that were occurring there at that time in our world that are happening right now. And the synchronicity is so crazy because one of the big things was in the United States was the Democratic National Convention, and it happened in August, and it's happening again this year, and we're having another cycle that we're moving through, which means that you must believe in yourself a lot more, because if you do, you have the life that you're supposed to live, and then you actually contribute to the world. We don't live forever. We have something that we're meant to do. And so you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, oh, I wish I had done this, that, or the other, because that's what happens. When we can't believe in who we are, we don't live the lives that we're supposed to have. We don't prosper. We don't have the kind of peace, and we're not contributing. When I started receiving my information in 1989, I didn't know what it was going to do. I didn't know where it was going to take me because what I'm going to do, I'm doing all these other jobs. I was running businesses. I'm a vocal coach. I'm not going to talk about this stuff, something that I'm receiving that's from a different place, some cosmic consciousness. We all have consciousness. That's how we experience ourselves. When you think about that, there's no reason that you should feel any less or any more than any other person, except how you've been programmed to think about yourself. And that is your evolutionary journey, which is always occurring. It's still happening now. But when we don't move to that place, we have all sorts of difficulties. We can even have all kinds of illnesses and sicknesses and, the whole mind body thing. Yeah, that's real. I posted something about that the other day. But I shared another video this morning and it said, I can't see anything wrong with you. And I did that 2 years ago. I've shared a lot of things that I did several years ago because what I did was receive information that healed my life that I can give to others, and it can do the same for you. And I know that because it's always in your consciousness. We just happen to be moving through a great evolutionary shift right now. So for a lot of people, it's challenging. You're finding yourself moving in new ways that you don't understand, or you're not being the same as you were with your friends or family because something's happening. That's because your soul is trying to emerge. The who you're meant to become is what's coming through. But I'm going to read the message that came through. It's on my site, Any Advice for Today, Tomorrow. And it's interesting because I'm also doing a Wilhelm channeling session tomorrow, and it's called Awaken Your Purpose. Because, see, I know everyone has one. And if they were to live that and discover it and own it, which does take time sometimes, if you haven't been doing it, it may take some time. But when you do that, you live this really great life. But it was the same for me. And I want you to see this. None of us know who we're going to be when we come into the world. So it's always a journey. And this was mine. It is always your lack of self-belief. Whenever you come to the physical plane, you are tasked with a goal of evolution within you. It is your life purpose. It unfolds in linear time for you and your planet. We have said you were moving through a restructuring, and it turns out well when you accept a higher version of yourself. We and your guides have been leading you all the way. The only thing we can't do is interfere with your free will. But the message we provided last year on this date and the conversation we will have tomorrow on your full moon will cause more of you to awaken to your purpose and greatness. Now, in 2023, your time has arrived. You came to the world at a specific time in your evolutionary journey to use your life experience to offer awareness and wisdom to your planet. You require linear time to reach that awareness. We used it to aid you. We gave you a message 3 years ago, which you will understand today. Then in 2020, you will become more of yourself now. Of course, we mean for you individually and your world collectively are in a continual state of evolution. At times, this may frighten you, but even that is purposeful. It took Roger a while to accept this message. He wasn't sure where we were going, and he, like you, still fears the unknown. We will attempt to tie it all together. We mentioned the law of attraction yesterday and said we would continue, and now we will. You were each born at a specific time so that you might experience the current conditions of your world, for you knew they would aid you in your evolution. You would then contribute to the evolution of all that is, as you are all one. That last sentence is what you are all figuring out now. You decided to live at this time so you would recognize who you are and use the law of attraction to accomplish this. You will know when you are doing so because you will feel good. Anything else means you are attempting to do someone else's job. After you contemplate this, you will be pleased with your discovery. And then, as you see, this is for the full moon channeling session that I'm doing tomorrow. So in 2020, when I received that message, it was so challenging to give it to people because I said they're not going to understand that. I receive information precognitively, and this is what has happened all of these years. I spent 35 years doing it. And then the end result was it ended up in a program that can take anyone to this next level of who they're meant to become. And then what happens is you start to heal. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to do everything that I have, but I know that it's possible because I've healed every physical thing in my life that people didn't understand or didn't believe. We move through evolution and people come into the world and develop something new. I have done that. And so, but believing it myself was really challenging. And that's why I struggled for so many years because I said, I've got to make sure this is great. And now I know that it is. And the things that have happened because of this work have just brought me such great joy. And that's what I want to give to others. I've always been this person who knew that I was supposed to do something in this world that was going to make it better. But now I know that the way I'm making it better is by causing more people to own who they are, prosper, thrive, become happy, and love themselves. That's really what it is. And I know that it works because I've done it. It was just such a challenge. I will tell you, when I watched that series, the 1968, The Year That Changed, it just made so much sense because, see, I lived in Chicago. And that entire time, we went through so many things in this country, but also they affected the world. That's how this works. First was having John F. Kennedy being assassinated. I was in grade school. I thought my life was over. And then in 1968, I'm trying to graduate from high school, and all this other stuff is going on. We're having a riot. We're having all of this in Chicago at the convention. But then we had Martin Luther King, who was assassinated, and then Robert F. Kennedy, who was assassinated after that. I go, oh, the world is over. It wasn't. It's that we're doing something again. We're moving through an evolutionary time where we're meant to accept more of who we are. We're always in the process of trying to understand we're all the same people, that every single person has value and worth. But we do that at different times throughout our civilization. And this is another time that we're doing that. And I was given work that was meant to help uplift humanity, humankind, because it will move you to another state of being. And the more people who do that, then eventually we start to see a different world. There's no reason for any of us to be angry, to have hatred, to have judgment, to have racism, to have misogyny, none of those things, because the work that I was given said we're supposed to move over that. And the way we move beyond it is by each person deciding to love who they are, to develop your authentic self, because that's where everything is. When you keep hearing terms, and I've used it so much, become your authentic self. Why don't we do that? It's because we're afraid of who we are, because we have to go into that unknown again. I've been doing it for so long, so I do understand. But then when I put out the message that I said, the video where I said, I can't see anything wrong with you, that's when I knew that I had developed my intuition to such a degree that when I worked with someone, I can answer any question. That's what happens in a Wilhelm channeling session as well. If you've come to any of those, you will hear it. And then the last one that I just shared, it's on my YouTube channel, and it's called New Beginnings, because that was done 2 years ago. And what was said during that time was that I knew that I had everything that I could give someone that could change their lives and make them become, and they would become happy and love themselves. But I didn't want to do it because then I might have too many people coming to me. That was true. That was in there because I said, I'm this introverted person. I can't be doing this because I know that I can help everyone. But the fact is, no one's going, they weren't going to do it. Most people will not do it. And that's the other thing that came through a couple of years ago, said no one's going to believe this unless you're charging $5,000. We like to suffer a little bit. We like to be under pressure. And so I am going to be charging that much because that's what I'm going to need to do. I'm 73, so I'm going to finish. I'm going to kick back now. I have done so much and I put so much into this work, and I've spent more money than anyone can possibly imagine to figure this out, to put this together and to test it. The test came because I lived it. And I tell you, I sat for several days, several weeks actually, thinking, how did this happen? The person that had everything wrong with them physically, emotionally, I mean, all of that, how is it gone now? It was through this work. And I know anyone can do it. And I've already seen it. You've seen it too, if you've listened to any of the testimonials. But what I'm doing now, tomorrow, I'm doing the channeling session, but after that, I am changing those rates. So it's going to be a lot more. But I know that anybody who does it, it's the best thing you could ever do. The thing that has always bothered me forever, because I've watched people do all kinds of programs and things, and nothing happens. And they keep spending all this money and going back, and they think that they're going to find the next thing that's going to bring them this great awareness, and that's never going to happen. My work gets you to understand who you are. My work gets you to connect to your authentic self, your mission, your soul mission, why you're on this planet, because that's how I received the information. It was divine connection, cosmic connection, however you want to think of it. And what it said to me is that, no, we're supposed to have a much better world. And that happens when more people understand who they are, when more people can love themselves and understand their unique journey. And it doesn't matter what you've been through. I've been through everything. And that's what's given me more value now to bring this to others. And I know I'm not going to be here forever. So this is why I'm finishing it now. You must understand that for yourself. There's something that Dr. Wayne Dyer said. I love it so much. Don't die with your music still in you. And that's what many of us do because we're not willing to take that journey into self-discovery. That's what most of us are afraid of. We don't want to look inside because we think we're going to find something terrible. The opposite is true. What you find is that you were given something to bring to this world. It might have been challenging or difficult, but then when you reinterpret it, which is what you do in this work, then you have an entirely new perspective of yourself and your energy shifts. What we're moving through now is an energetic change. When you understand that everything is energy in the world, including your emotions, how you experience yourself, how you think. And when you get those in control, that's how the mind body healing occurs. This is what I was talking about the other day when I shared something about all the things that I have healed. And that was because I had to move through my doubts. I had to move through all my judgments and my evolutionary path, which was restricted as everyone's is. But when more of us decide that we're going to move to that higher state of existence, we can call it the fifth dimension if you want, or whatever that place you think of. It's just a different level of thinking. And then what happens is your body changes, your mind changes, you start to love yourself and you feel confident. Those are the things. The only reason you don't have confidence is because you're not fully connected to that authentic thing you were meant to bring to the world. My role obviously was helping more people understand that authentic thing they were meant to bring to the world and then to own it, love it, and then start doing it. And that's what I'm doing. So I invite you to come to the channeling session tomorrow. Check out the work. It'll always be available. It's just that the rate's going to be different after tomorrow. We're putting that together now because it was really kind of difficult for me to say that my life led me to create something that was so amazingly valuable that it could change anyone's life. And I know that over time, that's going to make a much better world because, see, we let go of all the other stuff. We let go of everything that was holding us back in our consciousness, that is individually and also collectively. And yes, that's what my life has turned out to be. But you will still lack a little bit of self-belief because there's more for you to do. That's all. And so when you can accept that, then you keep going and you create the life you want to have. All right. I'll see you guys soon.